wonderful film. I thought it was so fun, so warm. I really loved it, and I wanted to ask you first about one of my favorite things of the movie is how is written the character of May's mom.
Yeah.
I thought she could easily be typecasted as the villain, and she's not. She's so interesting, her point of view. So
good question. I love this question.
Yeah, because you were a huge part of protecting the
defending
character.
The mom.
Defending. So she didn't. Did the character change a lot during production, and how did you make sure that she was a part of the story and not only the villain in May's eyes?
Yeah, I think you're right. Her character did change a lot. She did start off like from the very first pitch, like a little bit more like one-dimensional.
Yeah.
We were just having fun with like a mom villain. But then I think, in developing the story and wanting to create a richer, more like nuanced story that spoke to both the parent side and the child side, like we just dove a little deeper into her background and tried to understand why she is the way that she is, and also just realizing that part of May growing up, part of any adolescent growing up, is realizing that their parents are human and understanding them better. And that felt very necessary for May's growth, is to see that side of her mom and understand her mom.
She came second, I would say. I mean, meaning and you spent a lot of time focusing on May, right, and trying to get that right and making sure that story was working for her, and that's normal. I mean, that you kind of you have to pick a main character and really make sure that's working, and then once you kind of got that, you switch your focus now to making sure that the secondary character or the second lead is working too. And I think I'm going to go ahead and say it, that I think some of it was you also learning over the course of making this film, you kind of started to understand the perspective of your mom a little bit better, and that relationship, and that this film kind of taught you as you went. You're like, wait a minute, I bet she had a reason that she did that. Which I think I think that's the way these movies, the very personal movies get made, is that you kind of learn as you go, kind of what feels authentic and what feels real and what feels right for the characters and where you want them to be. And it would have felt kind of a disservice, I think, to Ming if we had kept her just as like this kind of overbearing mom.
Yeah. Also, it helped that you were the
like, she's not bad.
Like the voice of all mothers of teenagers.
So I'm like, she's just trying as hard as she can.
Because I don't have kids. Julia's kids are children, so you had the perspective of currently raising teen daughters. So I think, and I think that was a huge. It's important for the main character to have growth in her understanding of her mom, and I think I love that we showed that on screen at the end of the day.
I was going to ask you about that. You said that you learned a lot from your relationship with your mom. Have you been able to show the movie to your parents, and what did they think?
They haven't seen it yet.
Oh.
I know. They're going to see it in Toronto when we premiere it in March. I'm very excited.
And then there's going to be a whole series on Disney Plus of me just filming them watching the movie. Just kidding, we're not doing that.
It's going to be like stone face and being like,
the reaction.
Yeah, like, we approve.
But they're going to love it.
But my mom did see like the designs and some like clips of the movie, and she's very pleased that the mother character is like beautiful.
Yeah. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you work also in Inside Out, a movie that also dealt with the changes and the emotions, but they're completely opposite movies in tone. And this is so bright, so optimistic. Have you thought during production how Turning Red and Inside Out would coexist in the same studio and in the same...
Oh, yeah. I feel like, I worked on Inside Out as a storyboard artist, and, it was great being able to, with Pete's encouragement, revisit that time in my life and, figure out, what was going on inside my head at the time. And I think, girls and humans are just so complicated and like different, and there I think is plenty of room for many stories about different kinds of girls, and Riley is very different than May, and so I think like it's they're like their stories are very different, even though on paper they're both like tween girls, and I felt like there's just so much juicy, dramatic, emotional stories in that genre of girls coming of age, of teens coming of age. And I remember even like I worked on Inside Out for 2 years, and it was so fun, and I loved coming up with ideas. But I remember like all of the ideas that I pitched for that movie that I think Pete rejected because he thought it was too embarrassing or weird, I put it into Red. Yeah.
I want to ask you, the scene when May's mom shows up with all the maxi pads and it's one of the first movies that tackle the period.
Yeah.
So did you find any trouble getting this scene to feature in the movie, or was
No, that scene was the first scene in production, or first or second scene into production. So it was in the movie for the longest, I would say. So it was kind of, I think we kind of made a conscious or subconscious decision to put a lot of the kind of edgier stuff into the movie very early, so that it gave people opportunities to go, we're not going to make that movie, and they didn't. I think we benefited, obviously, as we always do, from showing the movie to our internal audience at Pixar. We do it all the time, and the fact that the audience, when they saw that scene, was reacting like, and laughing and cringing, and just that's exactly what you want. Like, if you can engage an audience that way, where they're actually feeling all those feelings watching a movie, and there's no way you could deny that. Like, so even if there was hesitation in the room, which I don't know, maybe there wasn't, there's no way they walked out of that screening and went, we should really not do that scene. Like, there was no way. The audience just loved it. So.
And Sandra is so good in that scene.
Sandra is so funny.
So funny.
Amazing.
We love her.
Yeah, thank God for Sandra.
Yeah. Lastly, I wanted to ask you, you won I'm a huge Oscar buff, and you won the Oscar for your short film. And Best Animated Short Film is one of the categories that aren't going to be featured. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about that decision, and how would you have felt if in your year you wouldn't be featured in the main gala?
Yeah, I mean, I am pretty disappointed that original score, editing, hair and makeup, like all of those categories, those 8 categories are so crucial in filmmaking. Not just the animated short category, because that was the one I was in. Yeah, it sucks. I don't know. But we didn't have any say in it, and we discovered it with everybody else, and we're like, oh, okay.
It's a bummer. But I don't know. I think, at some point, like, it's got to be less about the televised version of it. It's like the celebration of it is still kind of, I think, at the end of the day, what matters, and it's not the end-all be-all. But I don't know. I'm trying to make up an answer here that doesn't sound like, oh, that sucks. It does. It just sucks. But I think, I don't know. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe we'll have to give such amazing acceptance speeches in those categories. Like, people are just gonna have to start doing dances, and everybody's like, I want to watch that acceptance speech. That's the goal. I think the gauntlet has been thrown. We just have to be that much better in those categories, acceptance speeches, and then they'll have to put it back on television.
Yeah, and I want to be the one who has to make the ceremony, because it's a huge work. And
I have some empathy for the organizers, because they have to figure out what to do. I don't envy their job at all. I just complain from the side. I'm like, do better, but I don't know how. Sorry.
So thank you so much for this wonderful interview, and thank you for this movie. I think it's really, really special.
Estoy tranquila. Zen. ¡Sí! ¡No!